Called the Montipora black band disease, was first noted by Dr. Greta Abbe over at Hawaii Institute of Marine Biology in about 2008, I believe. It appears to have spread and gotten much more prevalent on the North Shore. Her graduate student that's working on her PhD, actually, Chris Runyon, has found it as far south as Ahukini on the east side. It's not been reported anywhere on the South Shore yet. This one, the only thing that it's been correlated with in 3 species of Montipora corals are a blue-green algae or cyanobacteria.
So on the North Shore of Kauai, what we're seeing is an outbreak of a disease that causes tissue losses, causes the coral to die off, of the rice coral, is the common name of this coral. And this disease is caused by, it's a bacterial infection that is killing these corals. So the question now is, why are why is the North Shore of Kauai having these problems where other areas in the state are not having these problems with these same rice corals?
Disease is a common thing in plants and animals globally. We don't know if this is something being caused by human-caused stresses in watersheds that's being discharged into these watersheds, into the adjacent marine areas where we see the diseases, mainly on the North Shore, basically from Ke'e Lagoon all the way to Anini, where we are right now here. What you see happen when the disease takes place on a Montipora. Montiporas are all crustose. They'll grow on usually horizontal surfaces, but sometimes slanted surfaces and even vertical surfaces. You'll see a sloughing off of the coral tissue and a very dark band forming where the disease is, and that band tends to spread. That it seems to be especially pronounced and spreads more rapidly during the warm summer months. In the winter, her last survey, which was just a month or so ago here on Kauai, all of the diseased heads had stopped their progression.
The next step of the research, we've identified the different types of bacteria that are killing the coral, including a filamentous cyanobacteria. So some of the next steps are to look to see if it is indeed a compromised host. In other words, are these corals so stressed that this bacterial infection can now take over? So we can do manipulative studies to look at that. And another thing we will be looking at is what, if indeed we find it's the stressed corals can get this disease more easily, what are the different stressors found on Kauai that are causing these populations to collapse?
The complexity of the issue is challenging, because right now we're really relying on the researchers to help us find what the drivers are so we can take that next step of management. But it certainly is a huge concern to us because the coral reefs are the foundation of our oceans and the marine life, and that's what Daris Kuleana is to take care of our marine species.
Coral animals themselves are the very foundation of the entire ecosystem. So without the corals, if they collapse, you will also have a collapse of the fisheries and the fish populations. So think of it as a foundation of your house. If your house foundation starts cracking, you better fix it up quickly because you know what's going to happen down the road. The exact same thing applies to our coral reefs in Hawaii, and right now our foundation, the corals, are starting to crack, and that needs to be addressed. Of course, along with this, the benefit from the fisheries, we have a $360 million influx with marine-related tourism here in the state of Hawaii. So again, if you're losing those coral reefs, those beautiful coral reefs that the tourists all come to see, economically you're going to see a big loss there. And then of course the cultural importance of these coral reef ecosystems. So you have 3 very important factors that should give us a great deal of impotence to protect these ecosystems for future generations.
So especially when this outbreak initially began, I think there were a lot of reports. Our initial report actually came from an Eyes of the Reef Network member to make us aware that this outbreak this disease had reached such a high level. And all of the people that rely, especially economically, on coral reef as a resource have been noticing it and raising their concern. Because for dive shops, all of the tour boats that use the North Shore frequently, it has a big impact to their business. There are very simple daily decisions we could all make, like how you go into the water. Are you going in with, sunscreen on? Are you going in with big fins and kind of kicking up the coral? Are you throwing your anchor on the reef? Those are very easy decisions we could all make to ensure that our coral stays healthy.